Instagram, we're getting our shoes together for YouTube. Waiting for reader followers. Okay, awesome. Happy Friday for those of you guys who are jumping online. Hello, Michelle. I'm so glad you're here live with me. You're going to love this. All right, guys, I'm going to jump into it. I know a lot of you will not be able to watch this live with me as it is a quantum leap session. You've heard of guided meditations. This is actually going to be a live quantum leap session. So if there is a absolute you that you would like to manifest versus the you that you are, right? Like where you are versus who you are. Who you are is the highest timeline that you can imagine. And where you are has nothing to do with that, unfortunately and fortunately. So today in this live broadcast, I was poked to get online this morning by my guides and give you guys the opportunity to clear the slate and to get on the right, your right, because there is no right, your right, most favorite timeline that you could imagine, right? Your highest timeline you could imagine, help you get on that highway. Because if you were going on a road trip, right, you would be utilizing GPS and you would be taking certain roads to get there. Some roads would not get you there. And some of us are on roads that are, no matter what we do, are never going to get to that highest timeline of you. So in this session together, this live session that we're on YouTube and Instagram, together, we're going to do a process where we're going to collapse some timelines and introduce some new ones and put you on vibrational alignment with your soul's highest destiny, because we have infinite destinies. There's infinite timelines to choose from. If you guys are just seeing me for the first time, I will not bore you with my backstory. I've got thousands of videos on YouTube. I have an academy online called The Alchemy of Love, and I am teaching a masterclass this year called Jedi Masterclass, right? Because we are learning how to become the Jedi Masters, hopefully of the light. Although there are many in the dark that have become the Jedi Master that we are in opposition with, and how much fun is this game, right? We are in a simulation. Now, this is a choose your own. A choose your own simulation game. But when you first get here, you have certain laws and templates, guidelines, and ancestral information that you're working off of. So you are working off of an initial program. And if you want to become a different version of your program, the programmed self, the slave self, right? The insecure self, the unworthy self, the undeserving self, the one that gets wrapped up in time and space and conflict self that you know no longer want to be, well, then you are going to have to become lucid in the simulation, which means you're going to have to wake up in the game. You're going to have to pause the game, and you're going to have to figure out what road or what path you're on and see if it is in alignment with the highest version of yourself that you could create in your imagination. And if you find that you're not on the correct timeline, well, then all you got to do is get off of that timeline, integrate and collapse the waves that are keeping you stuck in physical reality, frozen in certain areas, okay, where the detours are, and then how to get on the right road. So the first thing that we want to do, obviously, and the reason why many people are not on their highest timeline is because they have settled for a destiny or reality they believe that they can create or that they have to experience. And again, that is going to take some imagineering work. But if you've been in class with me, or if you've been working with metaphysics or any sort of kind of quantum theory based reality creation work, you know that your imagination is actually how you create the intention of what blueprint, what reality, what game you want to be playing on. Right. So we know that, wherever your energy goes, attention flows. And so that will act as a GPS, which means that if I'm driving a car and I keep looking over to the side, eventually my car is going to go over there. because it's like I'm going to keep going over there. So you got to make sure that you are on the road that you are choosing, not what is being chosen for you, and you're just finding yourself on that road default, because your particular road has nothing to do with anyone else's road, even if you're playing in the game, in the simulation with someone, which means that your casting characters, okay, that are playing in your simulation have nothing to do with your choice and where you're going, because every character reorganizes around your script in your particular movie. Okay. So the first thing that we want to do is like, why are we doing this today? Well, first of all, we're getting ready for a huge planetary reset, right? On the 25th of January, all of the planets are aligning. And we're like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, if you look at the planets as the kind of the operators and generators and kind of like the technical crew behind the game that keep things moving in this direction, working in that direction. And it's almost like the governance of the law of the game of how the planets are aligned within your planetary alignment within you, your chakras, right? It's all hooked together. Even though the game has kind of pushed you out of your natural cycles of the week and natural cycles of the months, your innate soul knows what cycle you're in. So that is a process of basically just getting still and recalculating. In our Jedi Masterclass, we're looking a lot at our North Node right now and South Node in our astrology, because that's your past karma and your future purposes, where you can kind of like see. Now, is this all changeable? Are we defined by astrology? Hell to the no. Right? It is a script that we are following. And until you become the sovereign being who is your own creator of your own simulation game, then you're kind of stuck following the script. So you can kind of look at the script and be like, do I want to be the editor here, the director here, or do I want to become a different main character? And that's really what it comes down to. Is your main character of your game needs to be the main character, people, not the secondary, not the default, not the sidekick, not the extra, not some little toddler's little master, right? Like, you are the master of your game, which means that you've got to step into that main character role. Even if you have a partner, even if you have a family, right? You have to step into the concept, the self concept of who you are as the main character. Because if you were in your highest vibrational alignment of all timelines, it would serve everyone. Because there is no soul that would go into their highest self that wasn't vibrating, radiating, and living from love. Love includes all. Love is inclusive. It's not separate. It's not separative. So the highest timeline that you could imagine has the biggest, greatest effect of all mankind. And this is another reason why we want to constantly focus on that. Because the more you are focused on the me and like what's in it for me and where am I going, the more separated from the all you become, and the more difficult it is to break away from the game that wants you to believe that you're here alone and that this is real and that you have no choice and you have to play the game the way that they're playing it, which is not true. But if you are not in alignment with your heart's desires, then you're probably finding yourself in alignment with your survival desires. So just take a moment and take stock of what you got out of bed for this morning, right? Like, are you jumping out of bed because of your soul's desires, your heart's desires of what you're going to create today, who you're going to be in service of, like, what amazing things that are going to do, what kind of joy can you generate? Or did you get out of bed because you have to? Right? So there is the survival desire that puts you on your lowest timeline. And then your heart's desire is going to put you on your highest timeline. And your heart's desire is not going to make sense with what you have to do today. And this is why it can get so confusing, because in the game, it's all about this is due right now. You have to be here right now. You have to do this. You have to go there. You have to say this. And really what you want to do is you want to step back. So we're going to do a quantum leap process that allows you to become the main character of your own simulation. and actually step out of the actor role, step out of the avatar, and get very lucid in the reality so you can truly take stock and decide what stays, what goes, what versions of yourself you're playing out, what versions of yourself you would like to bring in. Because you, although you're playing in a big simulation that is collective, you have your own simulation. It's called your auric field. And in your field is your game, is your planetary alignment, your seven chakras. It is your past, your present, and all of your futures. It is your parallel realities. And you're going to use the concept of quantum biology and quantum physics here to either subtract, right, add, divide, and reorganize your universe so that the frequency and vibration of all of you is emitting one main frequency. Because what I have experienced and many of my students in the past is there's so many things that we want to do and so many places we want to go and so many things to distract us and so many things that are, going on, that we kind of like are an exploding star. Like we're going in 25 different directions and they don't necessarily work towards the end game. Right. So imagine that there's, let's take three, because there's always a trinity of creation. I call it the me, myself, and I, but it's been the body, mind, soul. Right. And this idea, there's even the idea of the father, mother, child, which is all the same thing. In order for you to manifest something chosen. I don't mean manifest by default, like what you're karmically in alignment of, but when you manifest intentionally, it is because the three aspects of you, right? The highest self, right? That soul part of creator, that fragment of God, which is uniquely you, is now going to be projecting into physical body, which has its own consciousness. It is a blueprint of the soul, but it also has its own consciousness and beingness, and it's much more primitive and primal. It has urges and desires the soul doesn't have. And then there's the aspect of that creative inner child within. So we could either say, physical, emotional, chemical, if you want to go kind of like the holistic route, or you could say mind, body, soul, or you could say me, myself, and I. Either way, it's all about the Trinity. And when your actions, your emotions actually create a significant behavior that's based in balance and harmony of those two, you will have what's called a flow state, right? So if my thoughts and my emotions are on the same page, happy marriage, mother, father energy, left, right hemisphere are on the same page, I'm creating flow. If my thoughts do not align with my emotions, which means I really have to go to my job that I hate, but my emotions like, no, 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 I really want to stay home and work on my art project, then there is a separation, there is a division that is going to create a contrast, and that is going to put you in two different directions, which is actually going to exhaust your energy supply, and it's going to eventually create some sort of depression or repression, suppression, or idle, what we can manifest as an idle, or it seems like we're going nowhere fast. Okay, because alignment of you is actually what creates the flow state, not the paycheck coming in or everybody doing what you want at work or getting the right news. That has nothing to do with flow state. It is always about that harmony of self. So the first thing that we want to do before we start the quantum leaping process is we want to get lined up with our greatest soul's desire and know that that is a destiny, that is the highest version of you, that is your future self living there already, which means you could not feel that timeline if it didn't exist. And the reason why it feels so real is because there is a part of you there that's like, come on, right, let me give you these coordinates. And you're going, well, how do I get there? I'm here. All right. And how do you get there is you get an alignment of that frequency. But if you don't know what that timeline looks like, if you don't know what it feels like, if you don't know the kind of the imaginary concept of what you would be being there, it's not so much about what you're doing there, but like who you get to be is the most significant vibrational quality of any timeline. It's not what you're doing there, but who you get to be. And obviously, when we're creating reality, the main goal is to be ourselves fully, our most authentic, real, honest, right? Carefree, joyful, excited, free selves, which means that if we get an idea, we can actually go do it, right? If we have a feeling, we can express it. You know, how many people in your life do you really have where you could say anything and there wouldn't be a conflict or some sort of backlash? So that just gives you an idea of who your highest self is versus who the self that you're being right now is. And so your state of being is going to determine what highway you're on. So if you're doing what I call practice, prepare, play is the concept of patience. So we don't wait in reality creation because waiting actually starts to make your auric field shrink. Waiting is, I have a whole quantum fitness series on wait and waiting. When you wait, you are going nowhere fast. You're creating density in your field. And you're also, all those wonderful ideas that you are having in that visionary, imagineering state are going up into the cloud and being plucked by someone who is ready. Because your thoughts are not private. Your ideas are not private. Your inventions are not private. If you've created it in the fourth dimension, which is in your imagination state, and you don't do something with it, it's up for the taking. And I have seen that happen with so many of my clients where they get a huge download, this huge idea, and then they wait. They wait for the right time. They wait for the money. They wait for this. They wait for that. And then all of a sudden, someone else is doing it. And they're like, wait, that's my idea. I'm like, you snooze, you lose. So this is serious in a non-serious way, in a nonsensical way. So reality creation is a constant state of paradox. It is a constant state of duality mastered, which means that your highest vibration is going to be in a state of absolute deserving of everything you've ever wanted, but on the other spectrum, complete humility of, but I want to be led by the creator's highest will for me. That would be your greatest flow state. And it's very difficult for us to be in that state because as soon as we decide what we want, almost like this controlling element shows up, and now we believe that we know how to get there, or we know, what to do, or who's going to be there. And really all we got was the sense of the timeline, and we got kind of like the parable or the metaphor of that feeling state. And in no way do we actually know how it's going to look, especially if we begin to micromanage creation. So this is what stops you from being in alignment. So it's a constant state of play and pause and practice and prepare. Okay, to me, that's what equals patience, as far as patience is a virtue. So let's take a minute and really think about this planetary alignment and what it means for us on an individual level and what it means on a collective level. On a collective level, and I'm going to give this completely straight up to you. You guys remember 2012, right? It was our mass awakening. It was the first global awakening process. It was like overnight. It was like the world just like, whoa, what's happening? They woke up a little bit, right? The whole world started to wake up. Now it's like, yoga's a household name. All these things are household name. Where before it's like, ooh, that's taboo, right? And now it's like everybody knows what quantum theory is. 10 years ago, nobody even knew what that word meant. So if you could see how rapidly the world is awakening. Well, tomorrow, 2025, January 25th, will be 2012 on crack, which means that it is what is called a global reset. Right now, this has happened in other times in space, but before it kind of took place as a giant flood. Right? When I say reset, I mean reset. But the way that your human brain is designed is for you to seamlessly go from scene to scene without noticing that you're shifting timelines. That's how your brain was created. Otherwise, you would get so confused by how many different timelines you were in throughout the day. I mean, you're shifting timelines billions and billions and gazillion times a day from every thought. Every thought shifts your timeline. So if your brain was tracking all of that, you absolutely go mad. So the brain has a built-in filter for you to very quickly adapt to the new reality without believing that it's different. Okay, unless you're paying attention, really paying attention. That means you got to be really present. I don't personally think that you need to be hyper present of each timeline shift, because you could be going through billions of different timelines and they're all very similar. Maybe it's just like one little thing, but what we want is the leap. We want to be where we want to be, not just a little bit better than yesterday. We want to be who we came to be, who we know we are, who our avatar is, right? We want to be God's favorite. We want to be the main character. We want our dreams to come true, because we know that when we are in our heart and we are desiring from our heart, then everything that we create affects the whole and we help the whole. So we know that the intentions are right. But when you are desiring from survival, you are not necessarily looking at the consequential ripple effect of instant gratification to solve a problem from a problem, which usually gets you very off course and onto a timeline that has nothing to do with your heart's desire. And all of a sudden you find yourself unmotivated, eating a lot of sugar, binging social media, still knowing all the spiritual knowledge you know, but you're getting more into conflicts. You find yourself judging more. You find yourself waiting a lot. You find yourself like falling out of joy, right? And that all that means is that you are choosing the timeline of survival based desires rather than your true heart's desires, that, if you got on that path, would take care of all of your survival desires. Because I am not saying just let your life go to shit and, like just be completely delusional. What I'm saying is when you act from the inspired action of the right timeline, then it takes care of all of your basic needs plus some, but it starts to actually generate an entire new game where your cast and characters, your playground, your player, your playmate are all on the same page of your script. Wouldn't that be nice? Right? How many times have you felt like you're kind of like acting out your script and like no one got the script and everybody's playing like, who are you? And what are you doing that for? And why are you changing? And why are you over there? And when you start to change, but you haven't changed your playground, your playmates algorithm, it's going to be a conflict against who you're being, which means that you haven't done all of the Trinity work in order to send that new script completely out throughout your whole universe, which means that that persona may believe in the new concept of self, but the embodiment has not been done in depth enough for it to generate and repopulate the playground and the playmates that you came here to play with. And this is why a lot of light workers get so reclusive and they start to feel like attacked by their empathy, and has nothing to do with anything other than you did not anchor in and dissolve the other timelines that were not for your highest good or highest destiny. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to find that destiny. Now, if you guys are driving or at work or whatever, just kind of play along with me a little bit, but then later on go back and sit with it, like when you can be in a private space with no distractions, because you are going to go in an altered state in this space, and you do want to give 100% to this quantum leap. And I highly recommend that if you can do it before tomorrow, then basically as the reset moves through its rebooting, recycling, regenerating, you are already going to be on the right page, the right destiny, where now you don't have to go through a bunch of chaos, Okay. And you don't have to go through a bunch of destruction in order for you to decide what you want, because that's what's going to happen. Is the reset is going to put everybody on the timeline that they have given the most energy to. All right. So what you're going to see is a lot of people are going to go back to sleep, and a lot of people are going to wake up. And it is going to be a very kind of divided space for a while, until the it starts to kind of like dissipate, right? So we're going to see a lot of people that we thought were waking up actually go to sleep, and we're going to see a lot of people awaken that we thought maybe would never wake up. So this is what you're going to probably witness. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, what destiny have you been giving the most energy to, right? Where are you flowing your currency, which is your time, your words, your physical presence, right? Where are you putting your money? Where are you putting your thoughts? What are you doing with your emotions? That's going to come in a summation, which is called the frequency of the vibration that you are emitting the most. So your chronic vibration. So if you've been really depressed, well, then you're going to be put on a depressed timeline, and that's going to be perfect if you don't want to do this quantum leap, because it will be so uncomfortable that you will shift. That's the beauty of Creator, right? It's like the best personal trainer in the world. Pressure creates the diamond. But what I have learned over this last year, and where I'm really taking my classrooms, is love is our new teacher. We do not have to continue to learn through suffering. We don't have to continue to learn through being so hard-headed and so dense that, we only wake up and choose what's best for us from some horrific event. Okay. We want to start to have love be our teacher. We want the rewards to teach us that we're going in the right directions, not the constant, what feels like a punishment coming. Okay. All right. So if you know that timeline, I know my classroom all knows it, because we spent a lot of time doing Imagineering work, which is actually to find the best possible version of yourself. Like, how you look, where you live, who's around you, what you get to do, with no limitations, which means money is no option, time is no option, you know, location is no option. Where and what would you be doing if you were the most free version of you? Okay. Free of health, right? Free of time, free of money, free of conflict. Who and what would you be doing? All right. What would you be doing, and how would you be doing it, and how you would be feeling about it? Okay. So most of my classrooms they have that like understanding of their highest destiny. And so maybe if you haven't like thought about that, maybe you take some time this afternoon, your drive to work, whatever, doing the dishes, and you think about that. And notice that when you find that how natural it feels, how normal it feels, how it's almost like wrong that you don't have it. It almost feels like it feels like something is very wrong that I don't have this. Like some of you feel that you were born for prosperity, and the fact that you don't have prosperity is like something's wrong here. Or some of you feel like you want to be an adventurer, but your body is like trapped in pain. Like, oh, I can't go. And so it's almost like confusing to you sometimes that you don't have the money or you don't have the time. That's the timeline you want to look for. The one where it's almost like it's like, duh, of course that's who I am. Not regarding your past, not regarding like what your family says or your obligation says or what your religion says, but like who you know in your heart of hearts that you are, and what you would do, right? Not necessarily a job, but just like your life, how would that look? And then who would be there, right? And if the same cast and characters would be there, imagine that there's no conflict there, obviously, because love wins, and love is consideration and acceptance. So there shouldn't be any issues once we truly to begin to integrate the loving aspect of ourselves, right? We can play with everybody, we can work with everybody, and you are the main character, but you are also safe with other people, you are working with other people, you're community minded. This is going to be the highest aspect of you because you are a child of the creator, which means you were created to create this. And this is what you came for. You came to wake up in the game and then choose which timeline you prefer, and then collapse all of the other timelines that are sucking your energy and sucking your attention and pulling you in, because the shoulds and have tos are a trap. All right. If you're like, I should be doing this, that is the wrong highway. So remember, everything that is for you can never leave you. It will never be taken away from you. It's yours forever. Something that wasn't for you, you'll have to lose to get on this timeline, but you will always have more of what you desire and the real deal in this timeline. So this is where we want to head. And with this alignment, it's almost like, it's like you're playing on the playground with all the friends, and it's like you could get in the game right now, but it would be a little bit confusing. But there's a new game about to start, and I don't know, 24 hours, and so I'm just going to kind of like get ready, and I'm going to bring it. So this would be a perfect evening for you to get ready and bring it tomorrow, which means that you're going to start a completely new reality when you wake up in the morning if you do this quantum leap with me today. Obviously, if you don't see this until next year, you could do it then and it will work perfectly fine as well. But here we are live. So let's do this. All right. The first thing that you want to understand is that your past self is affecting your present self, and your future self is affecting your present self. All right. So if you've done a lot of like trauma work, or you've done a lot of reflection or shadow work, or, you've cleaned up a little bit of the past, then you will probably notice that you're not getting so pulled back into your past. The past isn't constantly manifesting in the present. But if you haven't, it's okay, because this is a very quick way for you to decide that you don't have to spend years doing shadow work, that you could actually collapse those timelines and end those storylines and merge into the future timeline of your highest reality. Because if your past is sucking you back right now, I guarantee your future is going to look like your past, because that's the highway you're on, right? And if you're going somewhere, there's going to be like a north and a south and an east and west version of it, and you're going to be somewhere on that highway, and that highway is only going to get to that reality, which means, where are you presently located in your game? Who's there? What's happening? Right? What's the limitations? What's the potentials? What are the blocks? What are the blind spots? Right? And do you have to figure out any of that today? No. The only thing that you want to do is decide where you're going. Then you will have the entire universe acting as your GPS. So it isn't your job to logic your way there. Like, I think this is the right way. No, you're going to turn that over. You're going to surrender the coordinates to the higher self, and then that GPS will then download into your field, right? So if you have not become very like deliberate in reality creation, then your field is actually more of the collective field, which means the coordinates that you're getting are not coming from your heart's desire. They're coming from the collective. You may think that you are going where you want to go, but if you have not done this work and really solidified who you are and where you're going, then you will be working off of someone else's game and thinking that it's yours, because the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the desires, the conflicts will all be coming from the collective space instead of your unique individual choice. So that's the first thing that you want to understand, is a lot of the things that are happening in your reality have nothing to do with you, but because you have not kind of created a closed set, and you have not paused the game and restructured the concept and put yourself manually on your highest timeline, then you're going to be on the timeline that you give the most energy to. And let's say you don't want to go where the collective world is going, but you're constantly looking at it, you're going to find yourself in that lane. Okay. So, first thing we want to understand is that, like I said, your past is affecting your present moment. So, what we want to do, and I always love when I'm doing any sort of like guided meditations or quantum leap training, is for you to realize that you are watching a movie, you are in a movie, you are directing a movie, you can edit the movie, you can produce the movie, you can recast the movie, you can change the movie's location. And all of this is going to come from you looking at the movie from different aspects of yourself, right? So, the first way that we're going to look at this is we're going to imagine. Now, if you're in a quiet, like private space, you can do this now with me. Otherwise, go back when you have some alone time and don't half ass this. I promise it will be worth it. And you're going to sit down and close your eyes and really feel being in your body. Kind of like feel yourself sitting wherever you're sitting. Feel the weight of your body. And then just take a moment and ground your body to the earth. And you can even just say body ground, or you can do the imagination. You just want to be fully all of your energy in one space so we can use it all, right? We don't want it leaking out and dripping out. You don't want like an empty coin purse or a holy coin purse. You want it to be full. So you're going to bring all your energy back by grounding and actually feeling the weight of your own body, and then noticing your breath and seeing if you can even maybe feel your heartbeat. This is just about presence. It's not about putting you into a meditative state. It's just about being present with the body. Because one thing a lot of new age spiritual people don't understand is until your body knows what timeline you're going to, your body has a different path. And it's called pleasure and quick destruction. So your body has got to be involved in this, and it has to feel everything that you're going to allow it to feel. It has to be there with you. All right. So first, you're just going to feel yourself sitting in the chair or sitting yourself on the floor or wherever you're sitting, and you're not distracted. So you can bring your attention to your body. And again, everything we do is no judgment, right? This is an opportunity to look at your body and go, or this is just, I have a body, I'm in a body, I can feel my body, I'm here with it. And then we're going to go into an imagineering sequence where we're going to pretend that we're in a movie theater. And in this movie theater, right, you are looking up and you are seeing your life. Okay, like watching your life. But on this screen, you can see at the same time, because it's all happening at one time, you can see what's going on at your job or what's going on in your home, right? What's going on at your favorite stores, what's going on social media. And it's almost like you've got one big screen, but you can look at all the different aspects of your life. And again, this is just imagineering, like your kid's going to school over here and you're sitting here watching me. But you're looking at your entire life in the present moment of what is happening now. Not what you want to happen, not what did happen yesterday, but what is happening today. And if you don't know what's happening today, this is just kind of like you have your routine enough to kind of like figure out what would be going on while you watch like your main casting characters, which is what we call our intimates, the ones that we're intimately working with. This could even be a a co-worker, someone who you work with daily or weekly. The people, the places, and the things. That's what you're wanting to look at. Now you're acting as the observer here. And so you're just noticing like what your house looks like. You can see it from the outside, you can see it from the inside. It's almost like looking at one of those little Google cams, and you're seeing your entire reality as of right now. That was weird. Right now playing out. Okay. And all I want you to do is take stock of your current reality. That's it. Like, this is my life right now. This is what I got. My dog's sleeping right here. My kids are in school. Okay, it's cold as F out there, right? There's snow that won't melt. Like, there's things happening. And that's kind of like what's going on in my story. Okay. Now, from that, you want to look at like almost like a pause all of those different screens and imagine that that screen is going black, like it gets turned off. Okay. And now what you want to do is you just want to take a moment and you want to think about your childhood, right? And what that looked like. You don't have to put it on the screen right now, but you're just going to be thinking about like how your childhood looks in comparison to the feeling of like where you are now. Like, did you grow up in the same neighborhood? You know, again, you do not have to populate your inner child's world on the screen. You're just kind of like reflecting, like where you came from to where you are right now. You know, like how has your reality changed? How has it not changed? You know, what things are still kind of playing out. And what you want to think of is now what you want to do is you want to think of your highest timeline. And I know we just went back into the childhood, but that was just to kind of like pull the energy forward so that we have more of your energy to where we're going. Because if half of you is stuck in the past and half of you doesn't even know what the future looks like, you're going to go wherever the matrix tells you to go. And you're going to think that you have choice and you don't. You only have free will when you own your own field. When you are commanding and collapsing timelines and waveforms in your own field is when you have free will. Right? If you're going with the flow and hoping things are going to change because you know what, you know how to manifest it, you're not manifesting. So now what you want to do is you want to close your eyes and just imagine like how far you've come or how far you haven't come. If you feel like you have a lot of work to do, it doesn't matter, no judgment. Now what you're going to do is when you open your eyes, you're going to imagine that you're going to see that highest timeline. But you're going to still be in the chair looking at it. You're not going to be in that movie yet. You're not going to be in that movie. You're going to look at it. Where do you live? Who's there? And who's there? How are they different if it's some of the same people? Who's missing? Right? What do you have that you didn't have before? Right? What blocks are gone? What opportunities are there? What have you created? What are you working on creating? Right? What do you get to do? How different would that be versus where you are? And again, no judgment. We're just looking as the observer. When you're in the observer role, you stay neutral. When you're in neutral, you are 0 point energy, which means that you can edit and you can change things. When you are triggered or charged, you got little or no power. So we're just observing right now. We're just looking. We're just noticing. We're just allowing. Okay. And we're seeing our highest potential. Highest potential. All right. And now what you want to do is you actually want to take your present energy there. So you imagine just closing your eyes and floating up above your body and projecting your consciousness into that movie. Right? Now I want you to animate that. I want you to bring that to life. I want you to actually imagine doing something. Okay. You saw the house, you saw the money, you saw the location, you saw your friends, you saw, you know, what opportunities were there. Now I want you to go in there and animate it. It's almost like now action, the actor takes the stage and animate it. Do something with money. Do something with someone that you want to work with or someone's that's there that you love. Do something with them. Actual take physical action and make sure that it's real enough for your body to be able to feel it even though your body's in the present moment. So what, you know, going and spending the money that you have in the bank or, you know, getting the keys to your new boat. I don't know, whatever it is that you want to do or, you know, writing a best-selling book. Physically do something that version of you would do normally, like just like what you do normally today, this version would be doing then normally. Like that would be just a normal thing for you. You want to animate it. This is going to download the future self into your now field, your present moment field. Okay? It's going to act as the bridge of consciousness between worlds of where I am versus who I am, right? Like I want to collapse the waves. So we're going to do this through the five senses, and then we're going to utilize the sixth sense at the end to completely dissolve all the other timelines that do not feel like this. So notice when you're in this leap, this quantum leap, doing something, and notice how normal it feels. It's not going to feel like, oh man, I just spent $1 million. It's going to be like, that's normal, but it will feel like satisfied, normal, excited, and grateful for more. Those are the signature frequencies of mastery. Okay. Grateful to be there feels very normal, but quite satisfying, and excited and inspired for what's next. That is the structure of more, of creating bigger realities and templates. So those would be the sensations, because if it was your everyday life, it wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, it would just be like normal. Okay. And we've got to have the body feel that extraordinary feels normal in order for it to be downloaded into the field. And so you can take your time. You can pause me, shut up, Jess, and go do this for 15, 20 minutes and really play. Okay. The more you can engage the senses, like, walking in your favorite restaurant, what does that smell like? Spending money, what does that smell like? What does that feel like? Walking into your favorite store, right? Having your home clean, like, what does that feel like? Having people over for a meal, what does that smell like? What does that feel like, right? You really want to engage that into the physical body, because every time you bring a sense to the physical, it's downloading as a truth, because the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and real. And so now you are downloading this new template, this new timeline. And then notice who and how you are there. Notice, are you more smiley at strangers, more joyful, more allowing, more easygoing? Okay. Notice like the main kind of persona of this relaxed, safe, abundant, prosperous, master version of self, and download that like persona, that feeling, that kind of identity of like, oh yeah, everything's easy and flowing and wonderful and safe, and I feel very generous. Find a few feelings that are actually who you are, that maybe you don't get to experience a lot now, but you would experience all the time. Then you're going to download those into the field. All right. And so now what we're going to do, we're going to do 2 more steps, and then that's it. We're going to imagine, once we feel like we've gathered enough of the energy, okay, the frequency, the currency of that highest timeline, we're going to bring it back in, and we're going to imagine coming back into the self, and then looking at the movie again and noticing if it feels different being there versus watching it. Okay? Just notice for a moment if it felt a lot different to you. Now what we want to do is we want to realize that this should be easy breezy, right? I downloaded the template. It's within me now. My body has the coordinates. I know how I feel. I know what I would be doing. Okay? And so that should be easy. But there are patterns and blueprints and programs and belief systems that are happening within this particular template, that are coming from the past, that are going to oppose the new downloads, right? So the past is going to oppose this future in a major way, because the past believes that that's the only way. Okay. And it is still being thought about and generated and acted out through your unconscious behavior. And so it believes that it is the timeline that you should be on. And your ego, who is the manager of your script, is going to make sure that it keeps you on the road that it believes that you should be on. Not the one you want to be on, but on the one it believes that you should be on, which is the one you've always been on. And it is not doing that out of like some sort of like, punishment. It's an operating system. It's the micromanaging personal assistant to whoever is the observer. That's it. So it isn't personal, but it will be a major conflict if you think you can just wake up from this and just jump on that timeline. No, you have downloaded that template in. You have the coordinates, you have the desire, you have everything you need to go. And now we have to face the opposition because this is a game of duality. And so, in order for us to be able to feed this timeline enough energy to create fuel to be on that road and not constantly be jumping on all these different roads based on where your attention goes, then you're going to have to go in and collapse the waves, collapse the timelines that are no longer serving you. Right? Like your daddy issue or your mommy issue. If it is no longer serving you, then you've got to go collapse the wave. Otherwise, you're including it. And that future timeline is going to be dysfunctional and distorted because it's going to have some of that in it, and it will be very bittersweet. And if you look at who you are right now, you can see that everything isn't wonderful and amazing because some of your past is still here in your present moment, right? Some of your patterns and programs that are in your, core belief systems are still running on a template level, and they are causing your behavior to be pulled in the direction of the program rather than your heart's desire. Okay, and this takes a lot of presence, but once you start to collapse the waves, it will be a lot easier. So how do we collapse the waves? So you're still sitting in the movie theater, okay, and you had the highest timeline on the screen. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to close our eyes and think about the inner child again. But this time we're going to find a part of your childhood that your inner child would, like, you've seen your future. Okay, imagine a time in your inner child's life where if they got to see who you were in the future, like that 5-year-old or that 7-year-old, like imagine a time that was, maybe you were really, like, as a little girl or boy, you were really like desiring something, or you really needed something, or you were at a crossroads or something. So it's almost like that highest template. If your inner child got to see that, which version of your inner child would you go to? Would you go to your first grade self, second grade self, third grade self, fifth grade self, 5-year-old self, whatever? Maybe go to a time where your parents got divorced or some very pivotal loss happened. Because when we're dealing with reality creation, it's all losses and gains. It's all like debt and credits. And so if there's too much loss, right, then the inner child will stay frozen, afraid to take risks in the future because of what they've lost. So you going into your ultimate self, you're not going over there with a failure complex. You're not going in there with daddy issues and mommy issues. You're going in there with full radical creator intention and behavior. And so you have to understand that your inner child has had a lot of loss, a lot of rejection, and a lot of abandonment. And so that little inner child is not going to be brave enough, courageous enough, willing enough, strong enough, motivated enough to go to that highest timeline. And so we go find that movie of where you believe. Like for me, when I did this, it was like my 3-year-old self when my parents got divorced and I had to leave my family home and basically hit the road for the next 25 years or whatever. Like, gypsy life. Like at 3 years old, it was like my home life was gone. I never saw my dad again. It was like in that moment, right? If I don't collapse at that particular timeline, my highest timeline I will never ever get to because of that. So, and again, there's many, but you want to find one that really speaks to where a lot of your abandonment and rejection issues came from. Okay, because abandonment and rejection is the core Adam and Eve wound, basically. And those are the two that we are here to basically override with love. So find that time for you. And it doesn't have to be exactly specific because you're going to have certain memories that are going to be easy for you to go to. And so what you're going to do is put that particular timeline of that 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old on the screen. Okay, now you're back in time. And you're at that you're looking at your inner child at that time, the most difficult year or difficult time, or one of such that represents the whole, and notice how they feel. Okay, now if you've done a lot of inner child work, this is going to be neutral, but it's still going to be present. And so we are not getting rid of the inner child. We're collapsing the negative charge of the timelines to integrate the abandonment rejection wound into abundance and prosperity, basically. Okay, so you're going to see your inner child there, and you're going to notice what he or she is doing, and what from their little awareness, from their self, like what that would have experienced like, and you're going to have compassion. So you're going to notice that you have compassion for that self of yourself. Even you might be emotional, that's fine, let it go. Okay, we're about to fix all of this, so let it roll. The more you can feel it, the faster it will heal. You're going to notice what abandonment, rejection they felt. And then if you kind of just like think about present moment, still dealing with abandonment, rejection, like worry, this is why you don't quantum leap. So this is why we're doing this. All right. Once you actually are witnessing your inner child experiencing this, okay, you're going to pause the movie and you're going to project, rise above, and you're going to go into the movie with your inner child. Now, what's really cool is once your inner child sees you, okay, immediately your inner child is going to recognize you. And what you're going to say is, this isn't the movie I want you to be in. I want to take you somewhere that you are going to love. And then what you're going to do is imagine watching yourself on the screen with your inner child. Close your eyes and then open your eyes in your highest timeline. Highest timeline. Now you are watching yourself with your inner child experiencing the ultimate reality of your highest healed, happy, joyful, prosperous timeline that you can create. And you're going to say to your inner child, this is for you. I did this all for you. Whatever you want to do, you can do. Whatever you want to have, you can have. Wherever you want to go, we can go. And I highly recommend staying about 3 minutes here and like allowing your inner child to fulfill themselves, because scarcity and lack is what is the vibration of all of your troubles. So if you can erase the scarcity and lack of the inner child, then the childhood fear of rejection, abandonment will dissipate. And so you are experiencing all this with her or him. And you can kind of go from that first person watching yourself, or you can also present yourself in the movie and actually interact with your inner child. It's going to take a little bit of imagineering, but hey, you have no problem imagining horrific things, so you might as well take the time to do imagination properly and imagine what your highest level of joy and bliss and love would look like. Now, no one else is going to see your inner child except you. And you can ask your inner child, do they want to stay here in this movie, or do they want to live in your heart until you can all live there together? Because it's already happened, but there's a little bit of action steps that are going to take before you move into the house. So you can ask your inner child, do you want to stay in this movie and I'll come visit you, or do you want to live in my heart until we're going to be there? Whatever. You do not re-abandon your inner child. You collapse the old timeline. You take that child out of the rejection and abandonment sequence and put them into the future movie. And so now the past is going to disappear, and all there is now is present and future. Present and future. You can do this as many times as you want on different levels, but really, if you find some of your root core abandonment rejection sequences, you'll start to notice your timeline shifting very quickly if you do this properly, and you can't get it wrong, right? Because your soul will be assisting you during this process, right? As long as you give it effort. You meet Creator halfway, Creator's going to meet you halfway. Promise. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to imagine that you're going to come back in and just notice what you feel. like this sense of completion, like closure, some feelings of warmth, satisfied, feelings of connection, reconnection, feelings of, fulfillment, maybe even a little bit of, sadness of the past, but like allow that to biologically move through. Because if you understand epigenetics, guys, epigenetics is about reality creation through environment. But if your inner child never leaves the past and is constantly stuck in a circular event of mom and dad getting divorced or abuse, it don't matter what you do in the present moment or think that you're going to do in the future. You ain't getting anywhere without your inner child's frequency, because your inner child is the Imagineer, it is the creator, it is the vision, it is the behavior. And so if there are things that you're not quantum like courageous moments you're not taking right now, or you're not working on yourself right now, have you ever asked yourself why? Because the number one reason why we don't move forward is because we are afraid of being rejected or re-abandoned. And so we have to figure out where that comes from, right? And it's coming from the past, otherwise it wouldn't exist, because in this now moment, every new moment is a new moment. So if there's any programs running, it ain't from today. So you're going to find that, right? Now there's many more, but we're looking for like our highest potential of our highest timeline, and we're also looking back at the moment that was like, or time that was pivotal in our, like, our self-esteem, in our self-love, in our security, in our safety, in our freedom. Like, your freedom was taken. So it's almost like we're going to go to the highest timeline and we're going to go to the lowest timeline, and we're going to act as the bridge in the middle, neutrally, to collapse these waves, fulfill the inner child's destiny now, right? And bring this all back into the body. Okay? And so this process of coming back in, you're just going to sit for a few minutes, and you're going to decide that, or set an intention that now, once you've allowed your body to re-feel the connection and all of those things that it needs to feel, then you're going to then imagine looking at the movie now from fresh new eyes, collapsed timelines, activated future timeline, which means that your road is going to be very obvious, which means tomorrow you're not going to wake up confused, like, what do I do? You're going to have more knowing. The reason why you don't know what to do is because you want this over here and you don't want it because of over there, because you don't want to get hurt again. And so it's pulling you, and then you're like, I don't know what to do. So as you collapse these past timelines and you activate this, when you wake up in the morning, you're going to be like, oh, you're going to have more of a sense of like, this is my road. Now, remember, it is not your job to figure out how that's going to manifest, or when, or who is involved. Your only job in reality creation is, what do I want and why do I want it? That's it. If you do the how, right, that's pride and ego, and that is coming from a wounded space. All right. If it is coming from when, then you got beef with Saturn that you need to go figure out what's going on with timelines of when you lost your power around time, and collapse that timeline. But it has nothing to do with your job. Is to want like a little child, love like a little child, desire like a little child, and make sure that you are focused on your obsession, which is your highest timeline, that it creates the highest level of love for all people involved, and give it energy. Remember, if you have a pet, you got to feed it. So you're going to be giving this future timeline energy by what you do in your now moment. So one thing we're going to do in order to get the coordinates so that the body stays in the right lane is we are going to recall the feelings. So we're going to go back into the movie. Now that the inner child has all of its happiness, like, it may not have mom and dad the way it wanted it, but you become the parent. You are there, right? It has everything it ever needs. It's free, it's safe, it's authentic, it's allowed. Okay, it's all those feelings that didn't get to be as a child. It gets to live in this future space with you, except you get to be in that role of the parent, but it could even disappear into your heart, and so it's just part of you. Okay, or you can create a wing on your house for it. Don't matter, right? Like I still give myself Christmas presents for my inner child every year. It just happens because it's a huge part of my reality. So it is a part of your reality, but it isn't coming from a painful timeline. Okay. All right. Something weird is happening to the screen. Okay. So you're going to go back into the movie and you're going to look for certain things. You've got to really anchor in feelings, sensations, and associations. Because tomorrow, these things are going to start to come into your physical reality, and you want to now be on your most epic treasure hunt. Because now the synchronicities are going to start showing up. And if you are not noticing, oh, that's from the future, that's from the future, that's from the future. If you are not acknowledging that, then you're not going to it's that's the fuel. Like all your synchronicities and all your little serendipities are going to be the fuel that keeps you in alignment along the way. All right, so noticing like how it felt to be there every day, how normal it felt, right? What did it feel like to feel safe every day? What did it feel like to have what you needed? How did it feel like you could go wherever you wanted? You're going to make sure that you take back like a signature smell, like a signature feeling. Like this future self has a signature brand to it. It has a smell, it has a taste, it has a touch, it has a feel. You're going to collect all of those. Okay. And with your sixth sense, it's going to basically be the inner child creativity. So the sixth sense is like the inner child's creativity and imagination and inspired action. Okay. And that's going to be something that is birthed. Your inspired action is going to be birthed from those signature influences. So you're going to bring those back in there. And then what you're going to do is imagine being in the chair looking at your movie. And next to the movie screen, there's all these knobs, and I want you to spend a minute and adjust the knobs. The first one is going to be smell-o-vision, right? And you're going to turn up the smell of what your highest timeline represents. Does it like smell like, I don't know, cashmere? Does it smell like the ocean? Does it smell like, brand new leather in a car? Like just find a signature smell and then imagine turning up the volume so it's like really coming in. And breathe it in, and then you can turn it back down to normal. And you can even take the moment, turn it all the way off if you want, or go back to normal. Then you're going to go up to the seeing vision, like the saturation, the clarity. So I want you to turn the knob all the way to when you're saturating a picture where it almost becomes all white. And so then you're like, whoa, it's all bright, it's fading into nothing but light. And then turn the vibration down a little bit until it gets perfect. And then just so you can notice how easy it is to disappear, go all the way down into the lowest vibration until it disappears. And then find your normal set point. And just anchor that feeling into the body of what that normal feels like. Because we're going to use this later. This is important. Don't skip over this part. Okay, the next part is hear. What are you going to hear? What is the sound? Is it your child laughing? Is it, airplanes flying over? Is it ocean waves? Find a signature sound and then increase the sound so it's almost like too loud. And then you're going to go all the way down where you can hear nothing and then find your normal set point. All right, you're going to go through all those senses this way. Now, you can even imagine a taste. Okay, like something that you would eat if you were like amazingly rich or happy. I don't know if you lived on an island, you had coconuts, whatever. Find it, and then do the same with the over expression of the taste, and then finding your new set point. This is going to be important, and I'll show you why in a minute. All right, so once you actually have those experiences and you get everything back in normal. All right. You're going to imagine that you're getting up and you're leaving the movie theater, but you can come back anytime. Now everything is set to your perfect place. It's almost like when someone comes and messes with your computer and messes it, and you're like, hey, you messed up. You're going to get everything set perfect as you want. You're going to leave the movie theater and you're going to go back into your now reality. All right. But when you walk out of that movie theater, you are different. You have collapsed timelines that are in a negative charge and vibration signature. Those highways and freeways are gone. So now all that's left is who you are now and who you're going to be. Now, how do you stay on this road without falling back asleep? All right. Now, if you really want to be a master level, okay, now you do this tonight, you're also going to have the assistance of all the planetary alignments, so you're golden. But you also do want to create consistency and routine because that's what gives your body the secondary knowing, right? Like what you do all the time, your body knows how to do without you. You want your body to be moving towards this timeline without you. You want your body to go, oh no, we're going here. I know what it feels like. I know what it smells like. I know what all of it is. And you want it, your body's so comfortable with it, familiar with it, that that's the only direction the body wants to go. All right. Because the body is primitive and primal and it works off routines and consistency and discipline. So now we're disciplining it, we're consistency and routining it, which means that regardless of what you're doing, unless you're like coaching like I do, or you have to work a job where you can't get away for a minute, set your alarm for every 2 to 3 hours and go back into the movie theater and sit down in the chair and go play with all the volumes and smell it and feel it and taste it and refamiliarize with it. And what you're doing is you're downloading it in all throughout the day, all throughout the day. You're getting familiar. It can be in a different scene, but you'll notice it has the same, like you go into a high-end hotel, it all has the same kind of smell. Like, you go into high level places, they all have a different feel, right? So find those signatures and then every couple of hours, stop, pause this game, go into the movie and be in that game, but also observe that game with your signature expressions. And then when you get it right, you leave it at a set point, you come back. And then what you will notice is that your intuition is going to start narrowing all the distractions away, and ideas and people and influences and resources are now going to be able to find you because you're in the same place. You're not everywhere. You're not on this timeline. You're not on your boyfriend's timeline. You're on your inner child's timeline. You're not on the Matrix's timeline. Creator can't find you. So you stay on your lane. And then all of a sudden it's like becomes like a treasure hunt. You start to notice like, oh my gosh, that's from the future. I just saw that. Now the ego is going to get like, oh, I don't have that yet. But your inner child will be like, no, I have that. Right? So there's no envy, there's no comparison feelings that are going to come up, there's no rejection and abandonment feeling that is going to come up because the inner child's like, that's already mine. And the recognition is now raising your vibration of familiar, and familiar is easy breezy, natural, obvious, because you cannot manifest something that you need or want too much. You only are going to manifest what you are. And so as you download all these vibrations in and you eliminate the timelines that are holding you back energetically, well, now all you have to do is be present enough to follow your own little yellow brick road and notice where the inspirations are coming. Now, the inspirations might be like, why am I going over here? And it may make no sense, but allow the inner child, because the inner child has been to where you're going, and the inner child can see in the dark. You can't. The inner child was built out of heaven and hell, and so it can go into the darkest of places and still find love. And it can go into the highest and highest of light and still be loving and normal and natural and still love the darkness. And so your inner child might say, hey, I have this great idea. We're going to go open a paper store. And you're going to go, that is nothing I want to do at all over there. But it is actually the person you're going to meet or the road that you're going to be on that is going to quantum leap you. And so the less you question your where this new direction starts to take you, and you allow to be led by the higher power and your inner child's creativity, you will shave 30 years off of this expression, and this will actually be joyful and fun and obvious. Because the more time you've spent there, the more you embody this. Now, what I highly recommend is that you start dressing how he's dressing or she's dressing. You may not have the budget they have, but order at least one thing that they would eat. Buy one thing that they would have when you do go out for shopping. You've got to start collapsing distances here, which means I have some of that over here and some of this is over there. And now there's no distance between timelines. And now that wave is collapsed and the present is the future and it is all happening now. And you will notice that it almost feels like logical, obvious next steps to creating. And so I really hope you guys take the time to do this because it's super fun and it will put you back in the driver's seat of creator. It will take you out of victim mentality because this could be a very scary place to be right now if you feel victimized by what's going on. Okay, it can make you want to perpetrate, it can make you want to isolate, and that is not the grand plan for the golden age. The Aquarian energy is community, it is unity, it is all about love and all helping each other, right? And so remember, if you're not getting up on fire and in desire about your life, it is coming from two root wounds. I feel rejected or abandoned, or I'm afraid it's going to happen again. So you've got to look at that. But I will tell you, you will not be able to go get your inner child and class that wave and bring them back into your reality right now. Because your reality right now might still be a byproduct of what they lived before, and they won't want to come with you. So you're going to take them all the way to your highest timeline and then let them fully immerse themselves in that space and then show you the way. All right, because all the scriptures say you must be like an inner child, be like the child to enter the kingdom. All right, so that is the quantum leap for today. I hope you guys take an opportunity to choose yourself here, be the main character of your reality, and realize all the silly little things that that we talked about today are not silly at all, because you can either go all the way to the tree of knowledge and get stuck in the incarnation cycle, or you could go all the way to the tree of life and live happily ever after in love, because you cannot logic yourself into your highest timeline, because with logic there's also always circumstantial proof of why you will never get there. All right, so thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see a lot of you in my classroom. There's still time to join us in our Jedi Masterclass, and I'm getting ready to launch Quantum Fitness Part 4, which is Quantum Fitness Squared, where we work on all the embodiment work of the inner creator, the inner artist, the inner prosperity version of you, and getting your body on board for who you are becoming. Because one thing that I have seen is your body is either going to be inspired to live or uninspired. Like, let me ask you this right now. If I said, ladies, I'm going to take you on a trip all around the world to the best beaches in the whole world. If you did not have the weight, if you were not the weight you wanted to be in, you would not be that excited to go with me. So your avatar is going to determine your level of adventure, right? Or you're going to be like, oh, I can't, I got too many headaches, or my back hurts. So you want to get ready so you don't have to get ready. Like, can you imagine all of a sudden this new timeline opening, but you still have to lose 40 pounds, right? This new timeline opening up, but you're like, you still got this like aching back. So the idea of rebuilding the avatar to be the main character. So your affirmation through resistance training is where it's at. And I'm going to start giving you guys little bits of that through the live videos of how I do that. But, I'm going to be 50 this year, but I feel 20. And I know that if anybody presented any opportunity for any adventure in the whole world, I would be able to go right now and interact with that. Might have to train to climb a mountain or something, but I'm in physical condition to go be an adventurer. And so if you do not feel that your body is the avatar of your highest expression, then it is definitely something that you want to tune up and turn on, because your avatar will either be inspired to get you on adventures, or it will get inspired to be on the couch because it doesn't like the way you look or feel. So that's coming in the next few weeks, and stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next live, and I hope you have an amazing reset for all of your planets and all of your timelines. See you later, guys. Bye.